In the fading twilight of forgotten ages, an unsettling whisper resurfaces, a warning buried beneath centuries of dust. Nostradamus spoke of a year when the world would tremble, a year marked by shadow and revelation. That year, he wrote, is 2026. He called it a threshold year, a moment when humanity would stand between collapse and awakening. His cryptic lines hinted at dangers modern society scarcely understands, dangers brewing beneath peaceful routines. The worst is coming, he warned, veiled in poetic dread. This script unravels those ancient warnings, not as superstition, but as echoes of patterns repeating across civilizations. Nostradamus believed time spirals, not marches, and that 2026 aligns with an age-old convergence of turmoil, upheaval, and profound transformation. His writings suggest forces accelerating beyond human control. He describes skies darkened by human hands, oceans rebelling with furious waves, and nations confronting internal fractures. He foresaw a world strained until it bends, then reshaped by its own awakening. In one chilling verse, he speaks of the trembling earth beneath twin crowns, interpreted as both natural disruption and geopolitical rivalry. He implied a global struggle fueled by pride, miscalculation, and the illusion of unshakable stability. Nostradamus warned that where leaders ignore the lessons of the past, consequences inevitably take form. He depicted leaders blinded by ambition, unable to foresee the chain reactions hidden within their decisions. His message urged humility before forces greater than empires. The prophecies reference a silent ignition, an event growing unnoticed until it's too late to reverse. Some interpret it as technological overreach, others as environmental tipping points. Regardless, he insisted humanity's greatest threats would come quietly at first. He described engines of smoke covering nations, imagery hauntingly similar to modern industrial consequences. Yet the warning extends deeper. He foresaw not just pollution, but a spiritual fog, a collective confusion obscuring truth amid rapid change. In 2026, he predicted the reckoning of the waters, a phrase many believe refers to intensified storms and shifting seas. But beneath the literal meaning lies symbolism, emotions intensified, societies overwhelmed, boundaries dissolving as if washed away. The verses also speak of cities that shine like suns collapsing under their brilliance. This has long puzzled interpreters, though many now suggest it alludes to technological overload. Systems strained beyond endurance, or great powers undone by their own advancement. Nostradamus emphasized humanity's tendency toward distraction. He warned that people would be entertained as the lion approaches, blind to threats forming in plain sight. The greatest danger, he insisted, is complacency disguised as confidence. A recurring symbol in his 2026 predictions is the broken compass, a metaphor for moral drift and confused direction. It implies a global struggle to find unity, truth, and purpose as conflicting ideologies fracture common understanding. He foresaw a moment when misinformation spreads faster than wisdom, creating a world where reality becomes contested territory. In this, he predicted psychological battles shaping societies more than physical conflict, eroding trust from within. One verse reveals the cold alliance splitting under southern heat, interpreted by some as geopolitical fractures between powerful blocs. Yet Nostradamus' tone suggests not a single alliance, but a worldwide unraveling of trust once believed unbreakable. He warned of a leader rising during turmoil, a figure he calls the voice in the smoke. Whether symbolic or literal, the passage describes someone wielding influence through fear, exploiting uncertainty, and guiding masses toward unknown outcomes. Another chilling line speaks of a great silence before the cry. This implies a deceptive calm preceding global unrest. Nostradamus believed this quiet phase would mislead many into thinking danger had passed when, in truth, it intensified. Intriguingly, he foretold a year of divided skies, often interpreted as atmospheric anomalies or celestial events. Yet hidden within his wording is a reference to human division under growing pressure, manifesting in social conflict and fractured communities. His writings caution that natural forces mirror human behavior. When societies break their harmony, the world reflects that imbalance. Thus, 2026 is portrayed not as an isolated catastrophe, but a culmination of humanity's misaligned priorities. Nostradamus mentioned the hungry earth reclaiming its due, a prophetic phrase echoing concerns about resource exhaustion, environmental instability, and the consequences of centuries of exploitation. He implied nature would reclaim balance with undeniable force. A potent symbol appears repeatedly, the dimming star of the north. While geographically ambiguous, it represents declining leadership and shifting global power. He implied a new center of influence arising as old structures weaken under pressure. His prophecy speaks of financial turbulence as the river of silver reversing its flow. Many interpret this as economic instability, sudden collapses, or dramatic shifts in global wealth distribution. He saw prosperity built on fragile foundations. Another verse warns of the circle of trade cracking like glass, implying disruptions to global supply chains. Nostradamus believed a single unforeseen event could ripple through the world, revealing interdependence few truly understood. In describing societal fragility, he wrote of voices rising in empty streets, suggesting civil unrest or widespread displacement. The imagery conveys populations unsettled by rapid change, searching for certainty in a turbulent world. Nostradamus highlighted humanity's vulnerability to its own creations. Man will fear what he forged with triumph, he wrote, alluding to technologies once celebrated becoming sources of danger. He warned that advancement without wisdom invites unintended consequences. One enigmatic passage describes the steel bird losing its path. Though symbolic, many believe this refers to misaligned technological systems, navigation failures, or large-scale disruptions affecting travel, trade, or communication networks. He also predicted breakthroughs emerging from chaos. Nostradamus never saw disaster as final. He viewed crisis as a catalyst. In 2026, he foresaw discoveries born from necessity, innovations emerging as humanity confronts unprecedented challenges. Yet he cautioned that transformation begins with upheaval. The phoenix rises only from fire, he wrote, implying that collapse precedes renewal. He believed 2026 would mark both destruction and awakening. Depending on humanity's response, another compelling verse references the mirror revealing them. Hidden, many interpret this as growing transparency, secrets exposed, hidden systems unveiled, and truths long buried emerging into global awareness, reshaping public perception. Nostradamus warned of conflict ignited by scarcity. When bread becomes a bargaining chip, peace dissolves like smoke, he wrote. Though metaphorical, it suggests strained resources fueling tension, migration, and political upheaval. His verses caution against leaders manipulating crisis for power. He described the crown liar rising in the fog, hinting at deceptive authority figures using uncertainty to tighten control. In 2026, such figures thrive where clarity is absent. He also foresaw a rekindling of ancient rivalries. Old swords will rise from dusty graves, he wrote, implying historical tensions resurfacing in modern form, shaping alliances and conflicts in ways eerily reminiscent of past ages. A mysterious line mentions the whisper from the east awakening the west. Interpretations vary, though many link it to cultural influence, technological innovation, or ideological shifts traveling across continents, reshaping global power dynamics. Nostradamus frequently referenced celestial patterns. He believed cosmic alignments reflected earthly events. In 2026, he wrote of a sky dividing into signs, implying an era of intense symbolic and literal transformation affecting collective consciousness. His prophecy warns that humanity will misinterpret early signs, dismissing them as temporary fluctuations. The fool sees the first tremor and laughs, he wrote, emphasizing that initial warnings often go ignored until the threat escalates. Another passage describes the darkening harvests, interpreted not only as agricultural strain, but as dwindling returns from long-trusted systems. Nostradamus believed institutions would struggle to meet growing demands. Exposing deep-rooted inefficiencies, he hinted at breakthroughs in understanding natures. Patterns, what was hidden in roots will be spoken in light, he wrote, suggesting scientific revelations emerging amid crisis, offering pathways to healing and restoration. Yet humanity must choose whether to embrace such revelations. Nostradamus depicted 2026 as a crossroads where wisdom competes with fear. He believed fear accelerates collapse, while understanding fosters resilience. A vivid symbol appears, the frozen bell collapsing in. This has been linked to structures long considered stable suddenly failing under unexpected conditions, reflecting both physical collapse and ideological dissolution. He spoke of the wandering crown, a metaphor for shifting leadership. Nostradamus foresaw unexpected figures rising to prominence as traditional powers faltered, creating a global realignment unlike any before. His warnings also reach into personal lives. He wrote of individuals feeling disoriented, disconnected from familiar routines. The hearth will feel foreign, he said, indicating widespread psychological strain as reality shifts faster than comprehension. Another verse references the merchant's regret, pointing to economic miscalculations, overconfidence in markets, or investments collapsing under hidden vulnerabilities. Nostradamus portrayed financial optimism turning abruptly into panic. He described global communication overwhelmed by noise. When every tongue speaks, none are heard, he wrote, predicting a world drowning in endless voices, conflicting narratives, and information overload obscuring truth. A particularly ominous line warns of the shadow that expands without form. Many interpret this as rising global uncertainty fear not tied to one event, but growing from an accumulation of unresolved creeds converging simultaneously. Nostradamus foresaw migrations triggered by environmental and political pressures. He described the wandering multitudes searching for gentler winds, indicating large populations moving in search of stability and safety. He predicted inner conflict within nations. The phrase neighbor against neighbor behind shared walls reveals a forecast of polarization, societal division, and ideological fragmentation challenging unity more deeply than external threats. His writings also speak of a technological turning point. The silent mind awakens within circuits, he wrote, interpreted as artificial intelligence reaching new levels of capability, transforming human roles and reshaping global systems. Yet, he warned that such breakthroughs require guidance. Without wisdom, he believes humanity risks empowering systems it cannot control. The 2026 alignment, he suggested, would force reckoning with choices long postponed. Another cryptic verse mentions the fireborn of light itself, interpreted as advanced energy technologies or breakthroughs reshaping industrial foundations. He implied enormous potential emerging precisely when old infrastructures falter. He foresaw medical revelations amid crisis. The healer's secret will change the fates, he wrote, implying breakthroughs in health understanding that shift global prospects, emerging from necessity rather than convenience. Yet Nostradamus' greatest emphasis was on human awakening. He believed crisis reveals identity. In darkness, the true torch is chosen, he said, meaning the most disruptive events reveal strength, character, and unity previously unnoticed. He predicted a generation rising with unexpected resilience. Though born into instability, they would carry fresh perspectives, forging new paths from the ruins of outdated systems, reshaping global direction with creativity and courage. The prophecy suggests that 2026 is less about destruction and more about unveiling. The curtain drawn back shows both monster and mirror, he wrote, hinting that humanity confronts both external threats and its own reflection. Nostradamus insisted the future is not fixed. Warnings exist to provoke awareness, not surrender. He believed knowledge empowers change, that humanity can alter its path when understanding replaces ignorance. He described 2026 as the year the world learns its weight, meaning humanity confronts consequences long deferred. Yet he also wrote of renewal beginning precisely at this threshold, forged through cooperation and insight. The final passages urge courage. The worst is coming, he warned, not to instill fear, but to emphasize readiness. For Nostradamus believes survival belongs not to the strongest, but to the most aware. He envisioned a future where humanity emerges wiser. From ashes, the clear voice rises, he wrote. After turmoil fades, a new era can begin defined not by destruction, but by understanding carved from trial. As the world approaches the year he marked with such intensity, his message echoes louder. The warnings are not fate, they are guidance. And the prophecy remains unfinished because its final chapter depends on the choices humanity makes now.